Hello, my name is Kevin. I'm going to record this. I've tried a few different times to record this video, and it always feels very awkward. My goal is that I'm going to keep speaking no matter what. If I feel like I'm trailing off or I'm going in a weird place, I'm going to try to finish the thought. I'm going to try and share it no matter what. It's very tricky. I'm not used to this. I will hopefully get used to this. So, just a little bit about this. The reason I want to start making content is that I really want to practice my self-expression. So I'm from Ireland, and I've been living in Spain for 2.5 years. My whole life I've struggled with communication. I've been a shy person my whole life, when I was in school and when I was in college and when I was in the working world. It's always been a problem for me. Always. I'm quite soft spoken, and I don't feel I have the most expressive face sometimes. I mean, maybe I'm just not used to it. My life ended up being quite insular, I suppose. Like, I have friends, and I can be very social, but I need I often need alcohol, or I need something to kind of relax me, before I can really be myself. I I think the purpose of this channel is kind of is it's self-expression, and it is for me to become a better communicator and for me to take you along with me. So we're gonna have a cup of tea together, and we're gonna talk about this. I'll tell you a bit about me. So I am Irish. I lived in Dublin my whole life, pretty much. I went to college. I did computer science. I was there for 4 years, and I hated it my first couple of years, but then I grew to like it and ended up staying for 5 years. So I ended up doing a master's in computer science. I worked in a games company, a major one, for 5 years, and then I'm working in another major games company for 4 years. I have always, like, I've lived with my parents my whole life, unfortunately, pretty much. Most of my adult life, I've ended up living with my parents. I was impacted by the housing crisis in Ireland. I lived in a town near enough to Dublin City that I could go to university while staying home. I could go working while staying home, and it was always, I could have moved out, but it just never made any sense to rent. I didn't have the friends to kind of move out with at the time when I was ready to, and I wasn't in a relationship, so it was very difficult for me. I ended up just staying in my childhood bedroom. Like, I'm not unique in this. There's lots of people who do the same. And time passed by, and suddenly I was in my 30s, basically. And we had a pandemic, and we had a few different things as well. So I don't feel it's not fair to. I wasn't lazy. I was working very hard. I moved out a bit and then moved back, and a few different things. But anyways, long story short, I got really frustrated with that, and after in my current role, we joined up with a team in Barcelona. So we had a bunch of new people join our project from Spain, and as part of that, I got to go over on a work trip, and I started to kind of, the gears in my started to turn, and I was like, wow, they speak English in our office. I was like, wow, Barcelona is such a nice city, and wow, like, the weather is so much nicer here and everything. And basically, I knew I needed to change something, and basically Barcelona was the option. And I basically 2.5 years ago, I bit the bullet and I applied for a transfer, and I moved over. So and I've been here ever since. So I'm now living alone by myself, like, which I cannot do in Dublin. And I am, I'm enjoying my life. I made some friends here, and I've really settled in. I'm learning Spanish. My job is going well. I was promoted last year. Things are going good. So and I think moving away has really changed me as a person. I've gotten very into the self improvement stuff. I've lost a lot of weight. I've tried to upgrade my style a little bit. I've tried to, I've basically been trying to, take it seriously. Like, I'm lucky to be here. I've been trying to use the opportunity that I have. So, anyways, long story, and one of the areas that I started to do in my 30s, which I wasn't in my 20s, is dating as well. So I've had a few very brief relationships here, one or two, and one of the things that I was, well, one of the pieces of feedback that I was getting is that it's very hard to connect with me emotionally. It's very hard for me. It's very hard for the other person to really understand what's going through my mind, and it's something that I've noticed in myself. It's something I find it sometimes difficult to connect with people, and it's sometimes very difficult for me to make friends. And I find that so sad because I love people. I really love talking to people. I'm a very empathetic, deep person. Like, I love to hear what's going on with people. I think when I have a relationship with someone, or it takes me a long time to warm up, to get past the initial icy, the initial small talk, and to get into the deeper stuff. But once I do, like, it's just the best, it's brilliant. One of the things that I want to do is just become a bit more expressive, become a bit more comfortable with sharing my thoughts. For example, I met my friend today, and we had a really, really good conversation, really, really good, and I wasn't expecting it. It took a bit of time for it to come out, and I was really realizing, it was very empathetic, very mutually we were talking about our lives and talking about our, the past and different things. It made me really realize that, like, I need more of this. I need to speak more. I need to really communicate my inner world more to the outside world, because it is really, like, it is almost life and death. It's really important. I haven't been doing it for a while, and it's made me feel sick. It's made me feel ill. Like, it's something that I have a lot of anxiety. I do see a therapist, and I've had issues with depression and anxiety in the past. I think a lot of that is like emotions being trapped in the body. A lot of it is feeling of, like, not being seen, not being understood. I feel very alone sometimes. I feel very, very stressed out, and just recently I've been feeling very burnt out as well in Spain, and I'm looking forward to getting back to Dublin for Christmas for a little bit very soon. But the purpose of this channel is to basically be a release valve, I suppose, for my own thoughts. It's to be just a place where I can practice talking to the camera, looking at myself and looking at my face, and just practice organizing my thoughts and speaking about them, speaking about my inner world to the outside world. Even if nobody watches it, it doesn't matter. One of the things I do want to do is I want to be very consistent. Like, I want to try to do this, like, every day or every other day, but try to just give it enough time that I get a bit of confidence with it, a bit of practice with it, a bit of, like, I iron out the kinks and I just keep going. I want to give it enough time to work. I want to say, well, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to try and do one a day for the next 60 days or whatever it is, and try to just put the content out there. And I think it doesn't really matter. It'll get better over time, for one thing. Even if I end up repeating myself a lot, it'll get better. I have interesting ideas to share. I have lots of things I want to talk about, and I feel like just getting past the initial, like, couple of awkward steps here is the way to go. It will really help. I have a lot of interesting ground to cover. So that is my plan with this. I've talked a lot. I'm doing this in kind of one take. I'm not going to edit this that much. I'm going to just put it out into the world, and if I'm a bit awkward, well, I'm a bit awkward, and the next one will be a bit better. that's really what I wanted to share. This is the plan. So thank you very much, and I will see you soon. Goodbye.